It's been exactly 2 months since I got this Roborock vacuum. This is the Saros 10R. This is actually the very first robot vacuum that I've ever had, which probably sounds crazy because I would consider it like top of the line on vacuums. And I think most people probably start with like lower end on these robot vacuums. And I just felt like I wanted to get the best that I could with my money. And so I wanted to share that experience with you, how I feel about it 2 months in, how I felt about it when I very first got it, what the learning curve was like, what my favorite features are, and that kind of stuff. I just want to make sure that you like fully understand like what goes into purchasing it and what to expect as you start to use it, especially if you've never had a robot vacuum before. So my background, I had a housekeeper for 15 years and I never had to vacuum and I never had to mop. So when I no longer had a housekeeper, I felt as kind of a dumb adult that didn't really know how to like really mop and vacuum because I just never had to do it, except for like cleaning up little tiny spills here and there. I didn't have to like deep clean. And so I have over 2,000 square feet of hard floors and over 2,000 square feet of soft floors. So I'm right now just specifically using this on our hard floors. It does do carpet as well, but I haven't used it on carpet yet because all of our downstairs is the hard floors, except for like a few like throw rugs and stuff, and it does vacuum those. So in the process of figuring out how am I going to keep my floors clean, I bought a lot of things. So I bought a new stick vacuum. I bought a wet dry mop, like a wet dry vac mop. I bought a steam mop and then a full-blown like regular vacuum. So I have all these other things, but what I found is that it just takes a long time to maintain this much floors that are hard floors, and you can probably tell in the video, like they were made in a way that you just can't tell when they're dirty. So that's good and bad because when people come over, my floors never look dirty, but they could be really dirty. And so I wasn't consistently cleaning them enough, even with all those other things that I bought, because to do like the steam mop or the wet dry vac mop, that would still take me a good hour every single time that I cleaned the floors. And I just didn't want to be doing that all the time. And I was not cleaning as much as I wanted to be. Like my floors were not as clean as I wanted. So that's kind of how I ended up here. This one had double the suction power. I don't know all the like analytics and all that. I just know that when I was looking, it said it had twice as much of whatever the suction power number is. A few other things that were the selling points for me is that this has a cleaning solution concentrate. And so a lot of them just clean with water. And so I didn't like that. So I wanted to definitely have a good cleaning solution. And then this can leave the mop pads behind. So if you're just running a vacuum, it's not dragging the mops as well. It heat cleans the mop pads, which I feel is really important because with the wet with the wet vac that I have, even if I would take it off and let it dry, like it still smelled. And so I took this off today and smelled it, and the pads don't stink, which is great because it's washing them with hot water and then it's drying them with heat every time that it runs the mop. So that's like super impressive. It also has this little side sweeper thing that can get into the corners. And so like if there's hair or like crumbs that are like right tight up against the wall or in a corner, it kind of like sweeps them forward and then picks them up. And so that's like really good. And I have a cat, so there's often cat hair and dust and that kind of stuff. And then in my bathroom, there's always like my hair. And so it does a great job of picking that up. It's been, like I said, exactly 2 months. I still haven't had to empty the bag. It's still not even that full, which is really surprising to me. I do have to consistently, at least once a week, change the water, fill up the clean water and dump out the dirty water. And I find that if I go too long in between doing the dirty water, that it can kind of smell. You don't smell it out here. You just smell it whenever you dump it. But it doesn't have any smell like in the house. So a couple of the reasons, besides what I just mentioned, that I also wanted to get this one is it can recognize the difference between the different floor types automatically and switch automatically. So I mentioned most of the floors down here are hard floors, but we do have area rugs, we have mats in the kitchen, and in the bathroom we have cloth mats. And so it knows the difference. So it doesn't ever spray those with water, try to mop them. It immediately goes on them and then switches to vacuum only, which is super convenient. So it will mop around them and vacuum the mats themselves. And then it also can really easily transition from room to room. Even if there's like carpet in between or the transition strips, anything like that, it just goes right over it. And then the other thing is it recognizes obstacles. And so there's often like a ton of shoes in different places. I have a lot of cords out, like chairs get moved, like all that kind of stuff. And it just knows to like avoid those things. And it will like put in the map like it found things. So like if you just like drop something and leave it on the floor, it'll just go around it. And it does a really good job of like going around stuff. So like even this chair or this bench, like it can go around it and get right around all the edges. So it goes under the chairs on my table, goes under my bar stools, it goes under my desk and like goes around the cords, which is crazy to me. So there were two things that like made this crazy difference to me. I always felt like when I went to bed at night, if I didn't clean the floors, I woke up and the floors were dirty because like everything from the night before, like cooking and everything would be on the floors. And then I have a cat. And so his litter box is right outside of my bedroom door. So every morning I would wake up and I would walk out of my room without shoes on, and then there'd be cat litter on the floor. And so I had a litter feed every day. And it just drove me crazy. So like the first thing that I would have to do in the morning is go and get the like handheld vacuum or the stick vacuum and clean up with the litter. And it was driving me crazy. And so the first things that I did when I got this all set up was I set it for every day at 7 a.m. to clean up the litter area. So I just zoned off right in front of the litter box and in front of my front door and like a little bit of walking area where he could drag the litter. So every morning before I'm awake, the robot goes in, cleans that area so that when I wake up, I no longer have litter feet, which is like the best feeling to not have this getting like, it was such a mindset change for me. Like that, the first thing I did in the morning, I didn't have to clean up litter from the floor. The other thing that I did was I set it up to every night to go into the dining room, into the kitchen, and sweep the floors. So when I wake up in the morning, there's no crumbs, there's nothing left on the floor from the night before. It's just a fresh start. And then I have it set up to do that every night, and then twice a week it mops those same areas as well. So let's go to the initial setup and how that was for somebody who's never used a robot vacuum before. So I thought as soon as I got it out of the box and got it set up that I was going to be able to just like run it. I didn't realize like it needed to map the whole house and how long that was actually going to take. So that took up probably 2 hours for it to map the whole entire house. And then I let it run that night to do a vac and a mop, which I probably should have separated out a little bit, but I was so excited. And so it took all night long. Like it had to keep coming back because it has this feature that if it comes back and the mop pad's too dirty, it goes back and does the same spot again. And because I hadn't mopped the floors in so long, it had to keep going back. So it took all night long, seriously, to go through my entire 2,000 square feet and vacuum and mop them. But I woke up and the floors were so clean. And so now it's on a consistent schedule on how often it's cleaning and mopping. And now I just never have to worry about it. That's the crazy thing. And so as somebody who had never used a robot vacuum before and had bought all of the other things trying to keep my floors clean, like I'm ready to sell all the other things. Like I don't even need them. I feel like all I need is one little vacuum that I can just go to a spot and just like do it. So that's my experience. It's not a whole bunch of like the technical stuff, but I just wanted to kind of share with you like the real like life-changing stuff for me personally that has nothing to do with like the tech specs of how this works, because like it works great. It does all the things it's supposed to do. I can go in at any point and I can click that cat litter area on the map and my routines, and I can just say like, go clean the cat litter. So if all of a sudden I walk by and there's litter on the floor, I just set it to that and it takes 6 minutes, cleans up the cat litter area, comes back and dumps it out. I also have like set up a lot of zones. So like if we get done, we have a bunch of people over and the floors get dirty after dinner, I can have it do just by the dining room table. I can have it do just at the kitchen counters. Kind of went overboard on the zones, but I just feel like, man, it just made my life so much easier. So that's my experience 2 months in with this Roborock. I hope that it was helpful.